Former Vice President Joe Biden spent Monday listening to community leaders and the nation's mayors' concerns about the deep racial divide happening with the country. Yesterday, Biden attended a 2-hour meeting with Wilmington faith and community leaders inside a Bethel AME church to listen to their concerns and what he will do to heal the broken divide. The former vice president later gathered the mayors of Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, and St. Paul, Minnesota, to praise their response to the recent protests, as well as to discuss how the country can start easing decades-long tensions between the police and minority communities.
It invoked the full weight of our history, though, how black lives have been devalued by our society, and it's not only intolerable, but people are angry. I'm sure you guys are, too. I'm angry. I know, and the fact is, we need that anger. We need that to compel us to move forward. It helps us push through this pain and reach the other side to hopefully greater progress, equality, and inclusion and opportunity in our country. But we're also seeing a justifiable public outrage and protests turned to acts of needless destruction in cities across the country, which are not justified. I think we all agree that the act of protesting should never be overshadowed by the reason we're protesting.
Biden also commented on the frustration and anger being expressed across the country during a virtual fundraiser on Monday, telling supporters, quote, I can't breathe, the whole nation is having trouble breathing. People are angry, I'm angry, and we need that anger to compel us to move forward, to help us push through this pain and reach the other side to a greater progress of equality, inclusion, and opportunity. John Meacham, presidents turn to prayer and open discourse to help approach problems that are multifaceted. You know, often two things can be true at the same time. The anger can be fair and real, but the crime can be wrong, and it goes from there. And Joe Biden is showing that. What we're seeing with President Trump is sort of a simple-minded approach to this, where there's one facet, strength, military, and there's no discourse about the much more complicated things that are still gripping this country.
Do we want a president who values reason and debate and appreciates complexity, understands the tragedy of history, which, as Vice President Biden said, acknowledging the pain is the first step toward possibly moving beyond it? It's not a guarantee we'll ever move beyond it, but there's nothing about the human experience that suggests ignoring the underlying causes, the systemic causes, the 400-year legacy of what's been called the American dilemma. We have two original sins in this country: African-American slavery and the removal of Native Americans. And we are all, white folks like me, people who look like me, are complicit in that. And there's no, I don't think there's any argument about that. It is a reality. And even the best intentioned of people, the best intentioned people who are comfortable with power, who've exercised power, have gotten horrible things wrong, things horribly wrong. Franklin Roosevelt helped save democracy and capitalism and interred Americans of Japanese descent. Any number of people. Lyndon Johnson comes from a segregated state. It's just, history is complicated. And the test here is not, is a president going to be perfect? The test, as you allude to, is, will you acknowledge reality as it exists? Because without acknowledging reality as it exists, there is no hope whatever of improving on that reality. And you're exactly right. President Trump sees this as a binary question. He was not talking to the whole country yesterday. He was talking to his passionate supporters. Joe Biden is about the power and tradition of reason. He may be wrong on some things, but he's using data. He's using what we would want someone leading us to do. President Trump is deploying passion.
And Gene Robinson, in many ways, Joe Biden is running a parallel presidency. He's behaving the way he believes a president should behave. He's modeling that behavior when he goes inside a church and sits and listens and at the end actually takes a knee for a photograph while President Trump walks through a square that's been cleared by police of peaceful protesters and briefly stands in front of a church holding up a Bible that he says was not his but was a Bible. And when Vice President Biden meets with those mayors, that's what a president would be doing, sitting and having a conversation with the mayors of these cities that have been hit so hard and trying to understand the root of the problem and how to get better. You see Joe Biden modeling effectively presidential behavior.
That's absolutely right. That is what a president should be doing. A president should be trying to get his arms and his mind around the root cause of the problem, and then trying to come up with a plan for addressing it. Because, as I said, these killings keep happening. That can't go on this way. People are fed up with that, and so we need to address it in a larger and more sustained and comprehensive way. And that's something we as a nation could do with the right leadership. President Trump is not the right leadership. He is speaking only to his base. He has made no apparent attempt to understand even recent American history, let alone the 400 years of American history, 400 years since the first African Americans were brought here as slaves. He doesn't grapple with the big issues like that. He looks at what's in front of him right now. He tries to win the day, win the hour, win the moment in the news cycle, and he conducts his presidency like a long-running reality show where every day's a new episode. And so this is the I'm a tough guy episode, and so in one sense it's farcical, but this farce has real world consequences, and his actions will have real life and death consequences for people across the country.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.